Well, welcome back, everyone. Here we are in the home stretch. This week, I'm going to speak to some common challenges related to community engagement. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about a wealth of different things. We've talked about debate and dialogue. We've talked about how we can best work with our communities in creating this dialogue. We've spoken pretty in depth about how to identify stakeholders, how to frame issues and work our way through that. So this week, I'm going to be focusing on a couple different things. As command staff and public safety leaders, you know this. When most people are asked about the mission of policing, the answer is usually pretty simple. Reduce crime, create safe communities. But let me ask you, is that really the whole picture? This week, we're going to challenge that idea and take a hard look at the true bottom line of policing. The readings this week are designed to push you to think more deeply about how we define and how we deliver and how we measure the value of our agencies. We'll start with the concept of public value. Drawing on Mark Moore's work, we're going to explore a fundamental truth. Effective policing depends on a shared understanding, a reasonable level of agreement about the purpose and legitimacy of police within a given community. If that sounds familiar, you can also think about our time we spoke about the co-production models. As we went through some of those different exercises, the idea was about how to create that agreement between the community and the police and how that service is delivered. And that means this. Policing is not a one-size-fits-all. What works in a small town in Alaska may not work in Dallas, and vice versa. So the question becomes, how do you as leaders define good policing? Specifically, how do you define good policing locally? Because the answer is not developed in isolation. It's co-constructed with the people you serve. From there, we shift to one of the more pressing challenges you deal with almost every day: trust in an era of total transparency. Here's the reality. Every interaction your officers have has the potential to become public. What does this mean? Every officer in your agency is now that public information officer. That changes the game. It requires you to think differently about communication, about accountability, and most importantly, about leadership. And here's where the key point comes in. Trust is not one-directional. It's a two-way street. Yes, this environment will test your agency more often and more publicly, but it also creates opportunity, an opportunity to educate, to engage, and to strengthen relationships within your community. And finally, we take on the hardest question of all. How do we measure success? In the public sector, it's relatively simple. It's about money. It's about profit. But in the public safety sector, our bottom line is different. It's measured in outcomes, in impact, and in the public value that we create. You'll be introduced to the idea of the public value scorecard, one that expands performance across multiple dimensions. And that means we have to move beyond traditional metrics like crime rates and clearance rates. Those matter, but they're not enough. We have to ask a couple other things. Are we reducing fear? Are we maintaining civility in public spaces? And are we using taxpayer resources responsibly? Amongst many other questions that could align with this. And maybe, most importantly, how are we using authority and the force entrusted to us? Because a truly high-performing agency does more than achieve outcomes. It achieves them while using the least amount of force and authority necessary. So this week, you're not looking for a simple matrix. You're expanding your perspective. You're examining the full scope of what your agency delivers to the public every day. As you work through the material, I want you to take a really hard look at your own organization and ask yourself this. Are we measuring what actually matters to the communities we serve? So, enjoy the readings, and I look forward to this conversation being continued this week. Take care, and I'll see you later in the live session.